Mark, I know when you're watching the film, you're critiquing and trying to get better and all that, but as a former quarterback and quarterbacks coach, can you just have an appreciation for the level of play of the quarterbacks last night? Was it as good as it looked live?
They were both outstanding. I mean, that's one of the things I think they have. From their standpoint, when he's on, he's a great passer. And we mixed some things up coverage wise and protection, and they did a good job protection wise. And he put some balls into great spots. There's a lot of things that we could have done defensively for some other plays, but a couple of those, were just great throws and great catches, and you have to kind of tip your cap and move on. And Marcus again was special in not only his play, but how he kind of kept everybody positive and rallied throughout the game.
Last night, Scott mentioned that there was an effort to kind of move Marcus out of the pocket a little bit to get him out of the way of harm's way, sometimes from pressure. Were there some things that you kind of compensated for that offensive line and how it was kind of getting beat up by moving him around, or the way you guys designed plays or called plays? Well,
they changed up a few of their pressures and how they stunted a little bit in the first half. And again, we had that long run called back. I can't remember how far that 54. Okay. And up to that point, we were doing okay. It wasn't so much the new guys. It was kind of some other guys trying to do a little bit too much, like I talked about last night. And we'll get that shored up. There's a few things that were just, really day one assignment type of issues, which that's frustrating. They changed it up. And again, I thought both sides of the ball, offensively, defensively, made some nice adjustments at halftime, and the guys did a great job of executing it.
Mark, could you talk about the offensive line a little bit in your assessment after watching that on film?
Okay. I think, again, they're a very talented, very veteran front seven. They played a ton of guys in there and rotated, I think, almost 3 units through there. And they're very deep and talented in that region. And so, we know going forward, people will have a plan for that. And obviously we have some things in our back pocket.
Mark, everyone's going to give you your best shot. I think people see that score and kind of think maybe you guys didn't play your best, but maybe talk about how well Washington State actually played, and that when Pac-12 play begins, you're going to get your best or get the best of the opposing teams.
Yeah, no question. I think part of it is you telling them how great we are for the entire week leading up to it. So you guys need to stop doing that. But no, absolutely. I thought the atmosphere was awesome. It was very similar a couple years ago when we were in Seattle, and that was probably their best game they played that year. I can't remember if that was the year they beat Stanford or not. I'm going to get my year screwed up. Last year they beat SC. Stanford within a field goal or whatever it was, a very, very close game. That's an extremely talented team, and we can't take anything away from them. And there's a lot of things kind of behind the scenes that our guys dug and scratched and clawed through to finish with a win and get home and get better and prepared for Arizona.
Mark, you just kind of referenced that part of it is the media telling you guys, your players, how good they are. Ranked number 2 again. How good do you think you guys are, and what do you tell them about how good they are?
It's that's why it's all relative. And I meant giving him a hard time of telling our opponents how great we are. It's always that's what my bad joke was about. It's all relative to who we are individually and collectively, and then showing up on Saturday and being better than the opponent in some way. Overcoming whatever obstacles or circumstances, play out in either the course of the week or the course of the game. But our preparation is relative to ourselves, and we're getting better in some areas. We need to improve in many, and we'll start back at that on Tuesday.
Could you go over what kind of schedule you're going to be on now and what do you want to try to get accomplished over the next few days?
Yeah, we're going to basically go. The players they have today and tomorrow off, with the exception of treatment. The guys that are nicked and ding are hopefully getting healthy. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to essentially do something. And that's a couple days we're going to lift, a couple days we're going to do some walkthrough instructional stuff. We'll have meetings. The remainder of the coaching staff, other than myself, are out recruiting, and we'll be they filter in gradually either Thursday or Friday, and then we'll treat Saturday as a normal Monday into the Thursday game week.
You may practice, may not, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere.
Correct. We're going to do some physical stuff and a ton of mental, from the mental aspect of, when you look at it on defense, we really gave up about 200 yards in missed tackles and leverage. And there was some things that we just have to shore up, and understanding how you fit in the defense and where your help is, and how to play it inside out or outside in, depending on where that is. Communication, and that's very easily accomplished. A lot of that stuff is very easily accomplished in a walkthrough setting, better than a practice setting. Getting healthy to get ready for next week.
It looks like Devin is really kind of emerging as a guy who has some good chemistry with Marcus. Are they on another level than maybe Marcus with some of the other receivers after a couple big plays from Devin?
I think he has a pretty good rapport with all those guys. Devin has made some great runs after the catch, and has really shown his athleticism as well as just his straight up speed that everybody knows about. And he's a tough guy. He made some key blocks, did some good things on special teams as well. He along with Keenan Lowe share a quarter of the game ball, or a quarter each, and then half with Marcus on offense. I'll go through that real quickly in a second. But yeah, I think Marcus has a rapport with all those guys, and it's a developing very young group.
You want to go through those players?
I will go through those. Thank you, Andrew. Teed that up for you. So offensively, it was maybe we'll go third. I don't know how you divide a football in thirds, but we'll figure it out. But Marcus, Keenan, and Devin on offense. As far as the players of the game, the offensive scout of the week was Michael Manns. Special teams wise, the player of the game was Matt Wogan, overcoming a miss, did a great job of what we were asking him to do in the kickoff game and making them play a long field. And then Ivan Failhaber was the scout team special teams player of the week. And then defensively, the player of the game was DeForest Buckner, a guy that was doubled and tripled kind of all night, kind of what we ended up going to in a bunch of drop 8 stuff. And then the scout team defensive players were the entire O-line. The trickle-down effect of the attrition, those guys, I think they had about 6 guys play every rep last week. They did a great job.
With Wogan, he took over the kickoff duties. It looked like Schneider couldn't go at a certain point. Last year he did that, but was kind of erratic with his aim at 7 out of bounds. How is he? I know that wasn't probably the use you wanted him last night, but how has he done in terms of improving on kickoffs, even if it's not necessarily his number one priority this year?
Well, yeah, we'd like it to be. I think we talked about that a little bit earlier. Ideally, that's one guy. That's one position, but both those guys will need, and they've done a nice job overall. Other than the missed field goal, he did a really good job. Had several touchbacks. Directionally, did what we wanted, and yeah, we obviously we're trying to improve on kicking the ball out of bounds.
I know you don't have an X amount of yards at running back that you want to see out of them, but are you pleased with the production that you've seen through 4 games, and how much does that deal with maybe the uncertainty along the line of scrimmage or the lineman?
It's kind of how the game plays out. This game was different than the previous 3 in a lot of ways, just from our game plan and going in and when we ran it and needed to run it at the end, we did a pretty good job. There were a couple times where we threw either a bubble or a screen where we would have liked to have handed it off, and so that's kind of again it's all 11. It's all 11. It's not just the O-line or tailbacks, quarterback, etc.
Mark, last night Washington State went right at EFO a couple times in the first quarter and scored touchdowns. EFO was pretty open about it after the game, saying he needed to do better. From your perspective, how does he specifically do better in those situations? And were you surprised that they attacked him and had success and he's considered the best cornerback in the country?
I think it's all just based on their look, and when they had the one-on-one out there, they took it. And again, he threw a couple great balls. Those were both great throws to a big physical guy, and there were a couple technique things that we'll certainly try to shore up. And that's about that's we'll take our odds with that every time. Ifo's a great player, and if he said that, he absolutely meant it, and he'll come back and compete. I know harder than anybody.
Oh, Mark, without going into the injuries of the team, this off time comes at a real good time. Do you anticipate a lot of the guys getting healthy for the Arizona game?
Yeah, I mean we'll play with who's available, and certainly that's one goal of this time. If there is a little lapse this time of year, is to get healthier. And everybody's fighting that. So, but yes.
Did you have a chance to see the Arizona finish last night?
I saw the Hail Mary on the flight home, and then I've watched a couple games, and that was one of them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the other side of the ball, which I haven't watched yet. But every week, 2 to 3 times a week. And that's one of those things. You could see the Cal guy trying to come in with both hands and bat it down. He was trying to do the right thing. A lot of times the DB's trying to go up and catch it and tips the ball again. But that was obviously a great play for if you're wearing Arizona colors, and a tough break if you're a Cal Bear.